Welcome back to Every Other Carl. I'm Carl, and today I'm going to be testing whether an LVP floor reduces sound travel between floors of a house more than a laminate floor. In case you don't want to stick around to the end, the short answer is it kind of does, but almost to an unnoticeable amount. This is a laminate floor. I currently have this laminate floor in my bedroom. This is an LVP floor with a built-in underlayment, and that's what I'm going to be replacing it with. Laminate is a much more rigid type of floor. It has a rigid core, and this one has no built-in backing, even though some of them do. LVP is much more flexible. It's essentially made of plastic. This one, and a lot of them, most of them, do have a built-in backing. This one has a rubber backing. This other style has a cork backing. For either of them, you can add an underlayment. This is the underlayment that I'm using. Floor Muffler Encore, and it's supposed to reduce the amount of sound that comes through the floor. Now, this underlayment serves a few purposes. Its primary purpose is to give the floor a little bit of softness and dampen the amount of sound that you hear when you step on the floor and you hear the clicking of your feet. That's one type of noise. But there's the second type of noise that's kind of the ambient noise, voices, TV, music that can travel through the floor. That's the one that I'm more curious about. Now, I've already replaced some of the floors in this apartment with LVP, with an underlayment, and those are quieter when you step on them. LVP, laminate. So I know that LVP already helps with the sound of your feet stomping on the floor, but what I really want to figure out today is, will it help with noise transfer between floors? I'm going to test that by using a decibel meter on my phone, and I'm going to play a video on the TV in the room that's underneath that bedroom, and I'm going to see the decibel levels with that laminate floor, without the laminate, with the underlayment, and with the LVP. I'm going to try to see if we get any difference. Hopefully this is interesting. Maybe it'll show me what I want and show me that it is actually quieter with the LVP and the underlayment. If not, maybe it's just a build lapse. In any case, let's get started on the project. Here's the room. It's 10 feet by 15 feet. This is a pretty decent laminate floor, actually. I'm not too upset with it, but we did a bit of a renovation and we removed part of a wall right here, and we don't have any extra laminate to fill in that spot. All right, here's our scientific sound sample. I'm gonna play this YouTube video. This is the TV in the room downstairs from that bedroom. I ran new Romex to our vanity light and up to our brand new vent. Let me turn this down to a reasonable volume. I'm gonna keep the volume right at 75%. That was the downstairs bathroom renovation on this house. In case you wanna check it out, I'll leave it in the description. All right, this is test number 1, back upstairs. This is with the laminate floor in, and I don't think there's any underlayment underneath. I will correct that statement if I do find something later, putting you in the tripod. So the key metric I'm looking at is this max sound level. And on the first reading, that came out to 45.3 decibels. All right, I got some sound readings. I think we were topping out around 45, 46 decibels. Also, I'm not a sound engineer. I don't really know what all these terms mean, but that's the number that was showing up on my screen. But right now, I'm gonna go ahead and replace this floor. Enjoy the time lapse. All right, round 1 is here. The laminate is up, and notice this is a very thin, and it has no backing on this laminate. So sometimes laminates come with a built-in backing that goes along with something like this blue underlayment. Now this blue underlayment is something, it adds a little bit of softness to the floor, dampens that feel of laminate straight to subfloor, but it is very thin and there are holes in it. I don't think this has been doing a whole lot to dampen any noise coming through the floor. As you can tell, just a very thin bit of foam right here. Let's try to get that noise reading. Can you actually hear that? I'm not sure. All right, let me check the decibel meter. So on the second reading, we maxed out at 48.4 decibels. All right, I got that second reading. I'm pretty sure it was showing peak around 48 decibels, so it looks like we're maybe 2 decibels higher without that laminate. Anyway, this isn't perfectly scientific, but I am trying to play that video downstairs from about the same point each time that I do this recording. So I think it's a pretty accurate read. That laminate was doing a little bit of sound dampening, but about 2 decibels worth. Let's take up this underlayment and then put down our new underlayment. All right, here's the subfloor. Looks like it was a decent floor at one point, but right now it is just subfloor. And we have this little hump over here that we had been noticing. Looks like it had always been some kind of a problem. I'm gonna try to smooth this out a little bit. Hopefully get rid of that hump. So I sanded it down after I planed it, and now it is very flat. All right, the next thing I want to do is put my underlayment down. I'm going to put it in place, take a sound reading, but there's a few other things that I want to do in here. There's some gaps around the edges of the floor. I want to put some expanding foam in there and some caulking, but I think it would be unfair to take a reading after I did all that filling of the gaps, instead of just putting the underlayment down, checking it versus the previous recording. So underlayment first, and then I'll fill in all those gaps, take another reading. All right, the new underlayment is in. I'm gonna go downstairs, turn that TV back on, and see if this made any difference. I have a feeling that it's not gonna make much of a difference at this point. But anyway, let's try it out here. Yep, this one came in just a hair less than the last one at 47.7 decibels. Okay, there might have been a very slight difference there, but right now I'm gonna go ahead and fill those gaps and cracks with some expanding foam and some caulking. All right, spray foam and caulking is in. Let's try that audio test. All right, that made a tiny difference, bringing us to 46.8 dB. All right, that last test is done. I think it was a hair quieter. Anyway, now it's time to install the LVP. We're using Shelford Oak by LifeProof. Comes from Home Depot. Just like that, all the LVP is in. We have trim around the edges, everything is caulked. We have expanding foam in all the big gaps. Put our nice built-in dresser shelf system back in. I actually did a whole install video in putting all this in. Maybe I'll throw a clip or two in here. But with all of this in, it is time for our final audio test. Let's see what we get. So our final test yielded 43.8 decibels. That's down from the 45.3 decibel reading at the beginning of the day with the original laminate floor. Just so you know from my research, 2 decibels is almost unnoticeable to the human ear. A noticeable sound difference would start somewhere around 3 decibels. All right, so it looks like we took the noise level down by about 2 decibels, if I'm recording that correctly. I'm happy with how it turned out, and I am happy that it is gonna be a little bit quieter in here. It's obviously better than the old laminate in terms of the clicking of your feet as you step on the floor. It is softer, it is damper, especially with that underlayment. It helps make that sound a lot softer. And that's a big deal for people who are on the bottom floor of this house. But as far as noise transfer between the floors, I think a much bigger impact would come from a high density insulation between the floor joists between these 2 floors. So that is something that I may work on in the future, but for now, I'm happy with my new LVP floor. I hope you found this video interesting. If you have any questions or comments, maybe you know something way more than I do about insulating sound between floors, go ahead and leave that in the comments section below. If you like the video, please subscribe, and until next time, I'm Every Other Carl, and I'll see you.